The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite. Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Welcome to the podcast on Tuesday, the 1st of December 2020. On the podcast today, Mike Ralston, CEO of Blencowe Resources, provides an update on their Orom-Cross graphite project in Uganda. Also on the podcast, Yoav Keren, CEO of Brandshield, formerly Two Shield Investments, explains the business, market potential and upcoming milestones. Also, Bernard Olivier, CEO of Richland Resources, soon to be renamed Lexington Gold, discusses their 4 gold exploration projects in North and South Carolina in the US. And as always, at the end of the podcast, I have 2 lists for you. The top 5 most followed companies on Vox Markets in the last 24 hours. And the top 5 most liked RNSs. By the way, you can see both these lists, top 10 visions of these lists at voxmarkets.co.uk. We'll see lots of other content right there. In fact, there's an article there on Brandshield. There's one on Equals Group. There's an elevator pitch from On the Market, Clive Beattie. Deep Verge remains on track to meet 4 million revenue guidance. And lots of other stuff. In fact, there's the COVID-19 index. Let's look at the biggest riser there today. Biggest riser on the COVID-19 index today is Tizian Life Sciences. Biggest faller, Inspiration Healthcare. Check that out at voxmarkets.co.uk.
Vox Markets is an online community of investors that runs a free mobile and desktop platform that allows you to track news and updates about any UK-listed company, offering RNS push notifications, detailed charts, pricing data, and much more. Find out more at voxmarkets.co.uk/app.
And joining me on the podcast right now is Mike Ralston, CEO of Blencowe Resources, BRES, his ticker. Mike, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, Justin. Great to be back, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, last week, or a couple of days back, you announced, it was last week, I said, a JORC resource progressing at Orom-Cross, of course, and there's been a lot of people, shareholders know exactly what that means, but there are some people maybe not familiar with Blencowe Resources, so just give them a basic summary as to what it's about before we get into this news, if you could, Mike.
Blencowe Resources acquired the Orom-Cross graphite project in Uganda in April this year. And it's a enormous 2 to 3 billion ton graphite project sitting near to surface. The size and scale of the project is incredible. It's got high quality product, and essentially it's a fantastic project for us to develop going forward into a market that we believe is going to become very hot in the future. So that's Blencowe and Orom-Cross in a nutshell.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest, the EV market, I don't know a macro trend like it, to be honest. I can't remember the last time pretty much every government in the world agreed to stop the sale of petrol, diesel and flip towards alternative energy, and that really right now is being dominated by EV. So huge growing market. The trend is there, and whenever it comes to investing, you should always, the trend is your friend. So you're in the right space, definitely. So give us a project update if you could, Mike. What's happened there? What's the JORC progressing?
Okay, so when we picked this project up, it required a JORC resource. It didn't have it. It had a lot of work done on it previously, but no JORC. So we set about putting together an extensive 2,000 meter diamond drilling program. That was done in the middle part of this year. The samples have all gone to the lab in Tanzania, which is the only JORC accredited lab in the region. They've been prepped, and those samples or representatives of those samples have been sent now down to South Africa, where we've got labs ready to do the assay work, and ultimately we've got our technical partner there, Minrom, that is going to produce a JORC resource once that work is done. So South Africa is going to be working on the JORC, and at the same time, in parallel, samples have been sent off to SGS Lakefield, which is in Toronto, Canada, and this SGS office is world renowned for graphite metallurgical test work. It's produced, I think, about 40 different companies' end product, and they've got a lot of experience, which is obviously critical. At the end of the day, we're trying to achieve a very high concentrate percentage, low impurities, high recoveries, and a very good mix of our flake in terms of graphite sizes. So their experience and their expertise will come into play, and that met test work is going to be happening going forward. So early into the next year, we'll be having a lot of results coming through for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and then when is that happening, and what's the next few steps?
So the next steps, as I say, into the first quarter of 2021 is to deliver our maiden JORC resource. It's going to be small in comparison with the overall size and scale of this project. As I say, you could sit here for 20 years and you wouldn't drill out billions of tons, and there's no need to do that. What we set about to do was to drill out a JORC resource for the first 10 years worth of mine life, and I think that's what we're going to achieve. So beyond that, we'll be able to take that and use it into some of the scoping and feasibility studies. At the same time, if we get this MET test work completed, we'll know what our end product's going to look like, and we'll know what the process flow to achieve that will look like, as well as the capital for the plant to do that. So it's a lot of information coming our way. We'll be putting it all into a scoping study first, and then hopefully a pre-feasibility study going forward after that. And that's all coming through. And with that, we'll start to develop and show the commercial outcomes for the project right the way through from start to finish. And hopefully we'll be able to start showing the market that we've got something of great size and value.
Yeah, absolutely. And I touched on it there, and I think it's a massive trend, of course. Just explain the graphite market, how it fits with the EV market, if you could there, Mike.
Yeah, it's just to be clear, it's not just the EV market, so I'll touch on the other side first. Approximately half of our product is going to be in the large to jumbo flake sizes. That particular product tends to be used in the flame retardant industry, expandables industry, and it tends to get the higher prices. So very important for us that we have some mix of our product going into the smaller growth market, but much higher pricing, because obviously weighted average price for everything you sell is going to be important in terms of the returns. On the other side, in terms of the medium, smaller flakes, that is the EV market in terms of putting a very high concentrate of quality graphite into the making of the anode. And the anode is one part of the lithium-ion battery. And as you say, lithium-ion batteries are going to be the norm in terms of powering electric vehicles and other storage of energy as we go forward. And that is definitely on the up. In answer to your question, there's many factors for that. I think the recent victory in the US elections for Joe Biden, the green agenda has lifted. He's talking about within hours of taking office rejoining the Paris Accord, which means that the US, obviously, which has walked away from that whole aspect under Trump, is going to become a major player again. And with that, electrification of vehicles, storage of energy, all of this is going to rise. And with it is a massive impact into the graphite market as a key material that provides, as I say, part of the battery that's going to drive the energy storage and drive these electric vehicles. So where we had some quite interesting and quite ambitious growth targets over the next 5 to 10 years, I think that we're going to see those targets starting to be met, and definitely a 4-year Biden administration in the States is going to be part of that. It's not just in the States. We're seeing growth in Europe. We're definitely seeing car manufacturers coming together with battery manufacturers. They're starting to pool their resources to understand and manufacture batteries because they want to take away some of the reliance from China. And I think we're going to see them taking the next step beyond that into manufacturing of the anode itself and ultimately into where that material comes from. So this demand, supply and balance could become very interesting as we go forward. And as demand shifts up and supply tightens, prices may shift up in a trend that everyone's predicting, and that's going to be very good for us if that happens going forward. The UK market, where you are, is definitely following the rest of this trend. Recently announced that there'll be no further petrol or diesel cars, new cars sold by after 2030. I think that's quite an ambitious target, but they're talking about putting the ability to recharge electric vehicles all over the place to flood the market so that people can have the ability to drive electric vehicles. I think we've all got to realize that this is just not going to happen overnight. We'll shut our eyes today and tomorrow we wake up and there's electric vehicles everywhere. It's going to take time. But as this starts to build, then on the one side, you're going to get the demand-supply imbalance starting to happen. But on the other side, you're going to see a lot of market sentiment. Sentiment is a powerful thing, and if it shifts in our favor as one of the key graphite suppliers going forward with an enormous project in a safe location, that obviously bodes well for our future in terms of developing the Orom-Cross project into the next 5 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we all know the markets move way ahead of reality, and because they, price in the future pretty much. So we can start to see it now. There are certain companies involved in electric batteries or some miners, and they're starting to move now. Because of course people want to get in there, don't they, before the move happens. So yeah, don't wait around until there's lots of electric cars on the road before you realise, oh, hang on, maybe I should invest in the electric cars in some way or something. Everything's going to move way before that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Tesla is the good example, of course, and it's the best known. I mean, Tesla's moved up to 500 billion market cap as we speak, and it's grown by 4 or 5 times in the last 6 to 8 months. So, and become one of the most valuable companies on the planet. But that's at the sort of cutting edge of it, at the front of it. The brand is there, and they're very well known. And obviously, as the sentiment shifts, they're going to get a lot of the value for that. But everything behind that starts to catch up in some way, shape, or form, and there's definitely moves happening. We used to go out 2 years ago and start trying to tell people what graphite was used for, where it was all going to be utilized in the future, and it was difficult to get people to get an understanding. But now you're seeing articles, as you say, in the news all the time. People are much more aware, definitely supportive. And I think it's the future. So You're right. I mean, where to get leverage for that growth, and a company that hasn't yet necessarily indicated all this value into its share price and its market cap, Blencowe is one to look for.
Yeah. Well, no, I definitely think people need to get exposure. They're serious about getting a good return over the next 5-10 years. People should all, in someone's portfolio, they should have exposure to the electric vehicle revolution. That's going to happen. One final thing, Mike, or 3 final things as always. In summary, then, just to sum up, if you could, if people are liking the sound of this but are not yet following the story, give them 3 quick reasons why they should hit that follow button on your page and add you to their watch list, please.
Okay, the first thing I will say is what we've just mentioned. The graphite market is hot. It's growing. It's expanding in all different directions. There's a lot going on, and sentiment is following that and going along with that. So the graphite market is in an upward spiral. Second, within ourselves and our own micro sense of our own project that we're developing at Orom-Cross, we've got a huge project. It's got size and scale, which means that ultimately, as the market grows, we can upscale this project at any point to deliver whatever is required. And it's going to be low cost. It's going to be at the very lowest end of the cost curve, so it's got good project fundamentals. And then thirdly, we picked up an advanced project. We've done a lot of drilling. We're moving through the JORC and as I say, met test work. We're moving rapidly. Look, we've had obviously a few COVID-related issues, as everybody has this year, but we've picked up and we're moving quickly. So there's a lot of news flow. There's a lot of progress as we do that, and we're very excited about what's going to come through next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Marvellous stuff. Mike, good to chat to you, and like I say, lots to come, so hopefully we'll catch up in the not-too-distant future. Thanks very much.
Good. Thank you, Justin.
The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite.
And joining me on the podcast right now is Yoav Keren, CEO of Brandshield. BRSD is ticker there, formerly Two Shields Investments, but now individually listed due to reverse takeover. Yoav, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and we've spoken before, actually, as part of Two Shields, so it's good to chat to you again. And before we talk a bit more in detail about the business, just give us a brief summary as to what Brandshield is all about, if you could.
Sure. Brandshield provides a solution from brand protection to online threat hunting. We developed a cybersecurity technology that deals with threats that are outside the company's firewall, and we detect impersonation, phishing, fraud, and counterfeits, and then we take them down. Basically, it is an AI and big data powered SaaS platform based on our own proprietary technology. We're growing fast in a rapidly growing market, and we're actually growing even faster than market. We have an amazing customer base and a highly developed product that requires no integration. And and we're just raised money now to grow the company.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. You raised 3.2 million. How exactly do you intend to grow the company then, Yoav?
Well, basically, until now, our marketing was very limited, kind of nominal in a sense. Up until the end of 17, I was practically the only salesperson in the company. Mm-hmm. And since then, we had our Chief Revenue Officer, Itai Galmord, join us, and we expanded the team a little bit, but we're still very, very small. Now, this raise is intended for marketing and sales expansion, and from different directions. So, of course, expanding the team, increasing the budgets for advertising and marketing. Adding more agencies for digital marketing and sales initiation, using more. We're already using that, but more automation technologies. So really doing everything that is needed to grow the marketing and sales channels.
Yeah. And let's talk about sort of market potential, because of course, pretty much everyone has migrated online, especially during COVID. It's accelerated the adoption of the internet, I suppose, in all walks of life. And of course, where there's money, there's also criminal activity, and I assume that's growing almost as fast as as the internet is growing. So, there must be a big potential there, but there's a lot of competition. What sets you apart then, Yoav, and what is the potential there for you?
Well, first, let's talk about the potential, as you said, what's going on in the market. So I'll give you a little bit data. At the end of the second quarter of 2019, e-commerce in the U.S. reached about 14% of total commerce. Mm-hmm. That took e-commerce 25 years to reach that point. Just think about it, from when the internet started. The same quarter at 2020, a year later, practically because of the first few months of the COVID-19, it reached over 20%. That's 40% growth within a few months. Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's really very big. It's a digital transformation our world is going through, and naturally, it's not going to go away. And with that, bad things happen. So, the bad actors, the criminals, the cyber criminals are looking for all kind of ways to capitalize on this growth. And those actions are going at the same level. First of all, the market that we're active in is expected, even before that, was expected to reach about $13 billion in 2023. That's the threat intelligence market. It's growing about 20% a year. The damages from phishing attacks, again, this is all data before COVID-19, were at a course of 4.5 years, were estimated about $12.5 billion. When one company, large companies, has a phishing attack, the damage that created to it is about $1.4 million US. For SMB, a cyber attack will cost about $54,000 US. So these are huge numbers. There's a blue ocean of companies out there that have no solution similar to what Brandshield does, the online threat hunting, and therefore there's a big opportunity there. Yeah. And if you're, I think the second part of your questions was referring to why Brandshield is different. Yeah. So I would say that first of all, the strength of Brandshield comes from its technology. We have a technology that's way ahead of the competition. Really deep monitoring and detection and automation of the processes, and on top of that is the closing the loop. So we're not only detecting, we're also taking it down in a very effective way. We have a team that is very experienced, and we've developed best practices over the years. Since we're in this market personally, the founders, we've been around this market for 20 years, and we've developed our best practices to really close the loop in a very effective way. So the results just talk for themselves, and our customers, when they join, they see the results and they see the return on investment, and that keeps them as customers for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And what type of client then, do you have?
So first of all, we have clients, some very large companies from Fortune 500 or FTSE 100. They're coming from different industries, so from softwares through pharmaceuticals, financials, commodities, fashion. It's really across the board, I would say, and that's one of the strengths. Brandshield is a company, is a solution that is suitable not just for the big brands. It is relevant. We have small companies, small, medium enterprises that have these problems. This is not a problem that is only relevant for the big brands of the world. This has become a problem that almost every company needs to deal with today. And the flexibility and the fact that our technology is extremely automated, that allows us to provide this solution for the different levels of customers. And, again, goes back to the potential for growth. Yeah,
absolutely. And so what's your plans? What's your goals, say, over the next 6, 12 months, even further out? What's even, operationally or financially? What goals do you have then?
Well, we've been growing our annual recurring revenue, which is a run rate quickly in the past 2.5 years. We practically, if you go back from 2017 to the middle of 2020, we grew by 2.5. And we want to continue this trend of growth in the coming years.
Sorry, can you just go back there, Yoav? You just dropped out. You've been growing it by 2.5. What did you say? Sorry, it just dropped out.
During 2.5 years, we grew by 5 times. Our annual recurring revenue grew by 5 times.
Got you. Okay.
So if you go from the end of 17 to the middle of 2020, that was 2.5, 30 months. So it grew by 5 times, and we want to continue growing fast. That's definitely the goal. The way to do this is through the expansion of marketing and sales. Get the word out there. We're really only touching, right now a small part of the potential market, and this is where we're going. Of course, it requires growing the team. We've been building the infrastructure for that growth. First of all, the SaaS is easily can grow easily. There's no limit in that case. It's totally scalable. We've created a lot of automation, so also the growth of the team is going to be easy and scalable. And this is what we're going to do in the next 6 months and thereafter.
Excellent stuff. Okay, well, listen, every day in the podcast, I highlight the top 5 most followed companies on Vox Markets. And, of course, you're brand new to the market, so you don't have a lot of followers. So get on that list. If you could, Yoav, give 3 reasons why someone should hit that follow button and add Brandshield to their watch list, please.
Sure. So, we're a fully developed product with a recurring SaaS-based revenue in a market that is exploding. In the last 18 months, and especially during the COVID, we've seen a significant growth in demand, including large companies with taking full service and for multiple brands. And we haven't even touched the rock pool beside the ocean. We're just starting proper marketing and have a significant potential for growth.
Excellent stuff, Yoav. Good to chat to you. And like you say, lots going on. So hopefully we'll be catching up in the not too distant future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite.
And joining me on the podcast right now is Bernard Oliver, Chief Executive Officer of Richland Resources, as RLD, but soon to be renamed Lexington Gold, at LEX ticker there. Bernard, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me, Justin.
Now, before we get into the detail, on the projects you've got going on there, first of all, just give us a brief sub-minutes overview of what Lexington Gold is all about. And there's a bit of a hint in the title there, I suppose.
Absolutely right. Lexington Gold, as you said, name change in the process after shareholder approval. But Lexington Gold is AIM listed, and we're specifically focusing on gold through our newly acquired 4 projects in the Carolinas Super Terrain, which is in the USA. And it's 4 projects, 3 in Northern Carolina and 1 project in Southern Carolina, all with historical gold information on it and historical small-scale gold mining on it. Cool. So that is very much now our focus for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah. So you're saying 4 projects there in the US, and give us a bit more detail. Are you starting off working on all of them, or is it a certain order, or what's happening there?
Yeah, all 4 projects, excitingly enough, has got historical information on it. Mm-hmm. Some more advanced than others. And I think just in general, the area is fascinating in that the Carolina Slate Belt, or now Carolina Superterrane, was actually one of the biggest gold producers, if not the biggest gold producer of gold in the USA in the 1800s until the Californian gold rush. And this specific area that we are in was very well known for gold production, but then it almost got left behind and other areas got developed. But until very recently, modern exploration techniques and exploration work weren't really conducted on this Carolina Superterrane. And our 4 projects, for example, the Carolina Bell project, has historically produced 45,000 ounces of gold. And that's a significant amount of gold on a small-scale mining operation. Yeah. The Jones Keystone Laughlin is geologically very similar to the nearby Hale mining operation, which I'll talk about shortly. But, there we've got drill hole intersections on historical drilling that was done of 2.3 grams per ton over 40 meters. So very exciting intersections and 4 very exciting projects.
Yeah.
On the South Carolina side. Yeah. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that they've been overlooked there. So how long ago were these results looked at? And why do you think they're overlooked? And why are they attractive to you, do you think?
Well, I think it came back on the radar with the success that a TSX junior called Remarco had. They took one of these small-scale historical mining operations called the Hale mine, which has been operating in the 1800s and then almost been abandoned for the last century. Mm-hmm. They started doing modern exploration techniques in 2007, and through their work program, they managed to convert this small-scale mining project into a 4.5 million ounce resource. And they also got all of the environmental permitting and all of the licensing together in a very short space of time. And then, as you can imagine, with a project like that size in the Carolinas, in 2015, it started attracting all of the attention of major gold houses. And eventually it was bought out by Oceana Gold in a transaction with 850 million Canadian dollars. Wow. And what we believe is that the Hale mine is not an isolated event, and that there are more of these historically small-scale mining operations that's shown that it is gold producing, that has got the potential to be, world-class, like the Hale mine and like Remarco through its exploration showed. Yeah. So that's very much what we are planning to do, and the strategy we are following for our 4 projects. Yeah.
So what is it going forward? Hopefully you'll have this kind of success if you can. But what is your strategy for exposing this success?
So part of our readmission, which occurred last week, we raised 3.3 million sterling, mm-hmm. and that funds is going into our exploration work program. We're hitting the ground running with lots of work we are conducting on the ground. We are currently conducting a helicopter-borne VTEM survey, which we believe is the first in that area. We're also doing aerial magnetics and radiometrics. We're incorporating all of the existing historical information, including that historical drilling that's been done before on the projects, especially then the Jones Keystone Laughlin project, where there has been some limited drilling done. We're incorporating all of that into a modern 3D model and a computer model, which will enable us to then plan our own drilling, which we are planning to start pretty much as soon as possible, and to get our first maiden JORC or 43101 resource done on one or more of these projects, the Jones Keystone Laughlin project being the most advanced and geologically quite similar to the Hale project, but also Carolina Bell, as I said, with all of the historical ounces that came out of it. In South Carolina, the Jennings Pioneer slightly different style of geology. It's a volcanic massive sulfide, or referred to as a VMS. And it is believed to be the extension of another existing mine called the Barite Hill mine. And we've already got some very exciting rock chip samples from that operation, which returned results of 90 grams per ton gold, over 1,000 grams per ton silver, and even 5% copper. As is often the case with these VMS, you've got a multitude of elements occurring together in the same deposit. Yeah. So we are extremely excited about all 4 projects, and they've got various different degrees of information on them, of which we will incorporating all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, looking forward a little bit here, so let's say we're talking 12 months' time, or 18 months' time, what are you hoping to achieve in that period of time there?
Well, the majority of the success is drilling based, and then to get a resource done, we have to drill it out. Obviously, existing data will be incorporated. We will use that now to guide our drilling program. But we're planning a combination of diamond drilling, firstly to verify the historical drilling, but also to generate a small resource based on the historical drilling and then our own drilling. And then secondly, it's an expansion project, which is done through RC drilling. Reverse circulation drilling, or RC drilling, is significantly cheaper. So we can do more sort of holes, or bang for our buck, and drill more holes with the aim of expanding these projects further into a significant size. RC drilling has also got the advantage of larger sample sizes. And often with gold projects, you get what is known as a nugget effect, which means that the grade isn't equally distributed over the rock. And of course, the bigger your drilling sample, the better the accuracy of your results and of your assay results.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, lots to do then. So, excellent stuff. Every day in the podcast, Bernard, I'll highlight the top 5 most followed companies on Vox Markets to get on that list. Obviously, many people have to hit that follow button. So for people listening right now, like the sound of the progress you're making here, what you're doing, but are not yet following the story, just give them 3 quick reasons why they should hit that follow button and add Lexington Gold to their watch list, please.
Brilliant. Well, there's probably far more than 3, but the 3 main ones is that we are exclusively focusing on gold in this known gold producing area in a safe jurisdiction than in the USA, where Remarco Minerals and its success with hail has shown that a mine can go through exploration into production and make money for shareholders. And then I think another important point is also we've got a very highly experienced team, both on board level, management level, but also importantly, our local partners in the USA. They've got over 130 years collective experience in gold exploration in the States, and they've also got experience on the oil project. So we're very much looking at them to assist us with taking this forward.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, definitely in the right place. Like geographically, jurisdiction, like you said, and gold, of course, is not going to get any weaker with the amount of money printing going on. So, yeah, good stuff. Bernard, good to chat to you, and hopefully we'll catch up in the not too distant future. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Justin, for having me.
Okay, it's time for the top 5 most followed companies on Vox Markets in the last 24 hours. They are, I'm going to just click a tab here, sorry, get up there. They are at 5. Richland Gold. At 4, Kistos. Richland Gold is down 2.6% to 26.88. Kistos at 4, down 2.4%, 122. At 3, Loop Up Group. Loop Up, fatty, oh, loop up, fatty reggae. Apologise for that. 3.5% up, 88 pence. At 2, Remote Monitor Systems, down 2%, 2.5. And at 1, Eurasia Mining, it's down a smidge, 0.25% at 38.75. All right, top 5 most liked RNSs. I'm going to compare these as well with most read. So we've got Dev Clever, Same Machines, Tomco, Turn, Equals, and Deep Verge Trading Update Investor Presentation. As most read, and let's look here, most liked, Tiziana is most read, Deep Verge is second most read, Angus Energy, MOU signed for Salt Fleet Debt Fund, really? Wow. Oracle Power's there, Ascent Resources, new funding, and Bahamas Petroleum as well, amongst most red there. Check those out at voxmarkets.co.uk. Thanks for listening. Muchos appreciados.
The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite. Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.